All right, guys, what is going on? Welcome to Team Basani. And today we're going to talk about what is going on in the stock market today, what happened today, and what to look for the next week. So we're heading into one of the most important weeks of the year so far. There's a lot of things that are driving the price action. For a while, we were in this state of the 680 is what I call it. We were kind of hovering around 680, 670, and we just kind of got out of it. We're back into the 690 zone. And this may be temporary, but I'm also going to break down my analysis today, and this week in general is a lot about earnings. Okay, so the S&P seems to be holding very steady, but we're seeing a massive divergence between AI winners and the rest of the pack. So let's break it down. Let's jump into the stocks. Please excuse me for my voice. I have been working a lot and my voice is gone. So I'm going to drink a lot of water during this video. Okay, I want to talk about a few things before we jump into individual stocks. So the first thing is the big event risk. It's a double whammy week. We have heavy earnings colliding with the Fed meeting that's coming up on Wednesday, the 27th, 28th. That is a crazy thing. The market is leaning towards more of a Fed pause with fewer cuts priced in for 2026 than we saw in 2 weeks ago. So in addition, there's some stuff with the yen where the yen is weakening. And what people don't really understand about Japan is that Japan is one of the largest holders of U.S. Treasury bonds. And if the yen weakens, then there's fear that they could start selling off. So the U.S. is basically printing money for them so that they can, rumors of this, I would say, they're printing money to basically support the Japanese yen. So that's also going to devalue the dollar. Does this mean that the economy is going to collapse? The stock market is going to, go down? It maybe have a pullback, but not essentially anything crazy. The tariff threat. Trump is all over the place with the tariffs. Now, people are starting to understand that he's a lot of bark and a softer bite, but geopolitics are a big thing right now. Trump's 100% tariff threat on Canada is really because Canada was trying to negotiate oil prices with China, and it's sending shockwaves through the market, mainly in the Asian market, Canadian market. But it's just a headline. I don't think it's going to cost too much. It's going to cost 2-3% in swings. But I don't think it's going to make a big difference because Canada already said that they have no intention of stepping away from the U.S. and Mexico. There's also a big bid on fear. There's a lot of enticement with metals. Gold and silver are ripping records right now. Actually made a lot of money off silver calls. USAR, we made a lot of money off that. I'll talk about that later. But, when you see this kind of move, big money is paying attention to what's going up, and they're basically paying for protection and insurance against the uncertainty that we're seeing in DC and globally. So let's talk about the big heavyweight stocks and what's going on with the market. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. All right, screen should be shared. All right, so this is a cool little calendar from the Earnings Whisperers. Check out their site. I don't really know them at all, but a lot of people are using this. So there's a lot of earnings that happened today. Nothing too crazy. What I'm really looking at is ASML. I'm looking at Meta. I'm looking at Microsoft. I'm looking at GE Verona. I'm looking at Boeing, UPS. I'm looking at GM a little bit. Nothing too crazy about GM. We have the airlines reporting as well. United Health Group, big one. MasterCard, Visa as well. Visa's right here. SanDisk, Apple, SoFi, and a lot of the big ones that you see more so at the top. Waste Management as well. I think this will do really well. Starbucks, I'm curious to see what they'll do as well. So a lot of companies, a lot of important companies reporting today. And it's going to be interesting. So let's talk about the ones that are reporting, a couple of the ones that are reporting, I should say. Talk about Apple reporting on Thursday over here. Apple, let's go into the Max 7, little checklist here. So Apple is definitely, they're making their way to China. And the tariff talk creates bad headlines for Apple. So the stock is steady, but it's not exciting, okay? So I think there'll be slow movement. Apple did have a little bit of a push today, when it came a little bit later, I would say. But Apple's getting a beating, okay? Apple has been struggling a little bit. Apple hasn't been doing so well. There's been a lot of pain in Apple, but we see these downtrends and then we often see uptrends. Look at the pattern that Apple has. Smooth downtrend followed by a very noticeable, very, very, obvious uptrend. And I think this may be the start. This massive green candle may be the start. There's a whole weekly green candle, maybe the start to a big uptrend. We're going to need to see a bigger move up. I definitely think that Apple could have a big move up. We had one recently, not too long ago. in August. Big day for Apple over here. Really opened up at 204, had a 30-point move in the week. So I think Apple will start to peak up a little bit, but we'll see how it works out. Big thing you got to look is for the momentum. Now, Apple itself seems to be consolidating quite a bit, more so in the later hours. But we'll start to look for more of a movement tomorrow. If it does have more of a movement, if earnings are good, we'll see Apple start to peak up a little bit more. I would not get into Apple calls or anything like that because of earnings. I just don't like gambling on earnings. You're going to see that being said like 10 times now. So next one is Microsoft. So I think Microsoft is going to move up. I think Microsoft is going to pop up, massive gap fill. I think Microsoft is going to test 500. They are software first, so tariffs don't really touch their margins. That's one thing you got to understand. Big companies aren't going to stop paying for cloud and Office. They are probably one of the safest places to hold in the storm if the market gets shaky. So I'm very bullish on Microsoft, and they had a massive rundown all the way to where was it? Oh my God, where am I looking here? Let's go back out here. They had a massive rundown to 438.69, and we're starting to peak back up. Now Microsoft is trading a little bit higher over here in the 475 zone. So it's not surprising to see Microsoft here. I do want them to get back to 490. Have calls on Microsoft right now. We're doing pretty good on them. So I expect Microsoft to peak back up. Looking at the long term, I think Microsoft in the next 2 weeks will do very, very well. Google, I think, will retest its 340, maybe push up to 345, 350. Google did test 340. Google is a very, very good company. They're actually less tied to China than people realize. So this is not really going to affect them. Their ad and cloud revenue is holding really, really well. They have a lot of data. I think Google is the big runner for AI. The big curiosity and the question is AI going to produce results quickly? We need to see something from AI. And if AI is not producing results, then we're going to start having problems, and investors are going to start pulling away because it's not having some genuine changes. So AI is something that we need to see. But for Google, I think it is showing a return on investment. If you're using Google, you'll start to realize that Gemini is taking over. Gemini is definitely the fan favorite, in my opinion. I think it's going to do a lot better than ChatGPT. They have more data. So I think a quiet, slow climb up, very strong strength in Google is going to be something that's been seen, or that's going to be seen. Next is Amazon. Now, Amazon, they sell physical goods. So tariffs definitely hurt the sentiment. But AWS cloud development has been really, really good, and that is the backbone of Amazon. I think we're going to see some choppy action. I think we're going to look for buyers to buy the dip. I think there's still going to be dips here in Amazon. There's clear winners and leaders when it comes to the Mag 7. I think that Amazon is not necessarily a loser, but there's a lot of choppiness. There's a lot of uncertainty here in Amazon. We have run-ups, run-down. Look at this. Look at this graph here, okay? It really looks like Amazon is in a heavy consolidation period. It does not look like Amazon is going to do anything in the short term. It's kind of hovering between the Bollinger Bands here. It's hovering in the zone of 210 and 250. So if Amazon can break 250 and hold above 250, as it did a little bit over here, but it didn't hold, we will start seeing a climb up in Amazon, but probably a slow, more meticulous climb. One stock that is moving pretty well is Meta. Meta is starting to peak up. I think that Meta had a really, really strong week, and Meta will continue to grow. Meta in general is starting to get kind of crazy. Meta's charts, look at this stuff. I'm gonna kind of kill a lot of things here and keep it simple for you guys. Meta is definitely looking like it's coiling up. I think Meta is going to coil up and burst out. It ran up a little bit, and I think it's going to coil up and it's going to continue to run up. Meta is a strong company, okay? It's very ad driven. They are reporting on Wednesday. So I would just wait. I know some people are in Meta calls. I would wait to kind of throw calls on Meta. If the economy does slow down and ads kind of get cut, that's where people kind of cut down their marketing budget. That's going to be a problem. There's still a very big cash flow machine. So I think large swings. I think large swings up and large swings down, but I don't expect a collapse. I think that Meta will hold 600. It will not break 600 in my opinion, but I think it'll start to hover around 630 to maybe 700 zone, and I think it'll start to swing up a little bit more. Tesla, I'm actually bearish on Tesla. I'm not gonna lie. China matters a lot here. China is absolutely murdering them in the EV department. Every headline about trades shifts the stock. I've noticed this. I've been trading it. I think it's going to be the biggest mover of the week. I think it's going to be up or down, but I think it's going to be down. Tesla is a little bit of a mess, okay? Tesla's all over the place. I think that once earnings kinds of comes into play here, I think Tesla, we have earnings on Wednesday. They're reporting Wednesday. I think that they're going to go down because it's the first time that they're not being backed by government subsidies. The EV credit is gone. So we're going to see how Tesla really does. So once again, guys, Apple's reporting Thursday, Microsoft Wednesday, Alphabet is going to report a lot later. Amazon reporting next week, February 5th. Meta reporting Wednesday, Tesla reporting Wednesday, and last but not least, we have NVIDIA, okay? NVIDIA has been kind of one of those stocks that's been chilling out. Some of these stocks, some of these big seven stocks, they're just going to not do much. They are the power behind the whole AI movement, but they're so priced in right now, they are not moving between 185 to 189. We had a 3-point jump recently. Very recently, we had a little bit of a 3-point jump almost in one candle, but we've held in this zone. China export is a huge thing. It was really good news, but then tariffs, it's a huge thing. So I think NVIDIA is going to have long-term strength. The stock is expensive and it will drop fast on any bad news. It's a very big AI leader. It's holding firm right now. I would really love to see NVIDIA start to push back up here and start to look at 200s because that would be really, really cool for NVIDIA. But NVIDIA is very marked by very noticeable gains and holding and then, obviously not doing much. So NVIDIA is not moving that much. Let me talk about some other stocks that we're in right now. USAR, I do expect this to go up. It touched 40 at like 4 a.m. the other day. So let's look back here. I think, yeah, it touched 40. Look at that over there. 43 touched over there, came back down. So I think that shows that buyers are interested in this stock. This is the big story. This is a huge thing. They just secured a $1.6 billion government funding deal. The Trump administration is taking 10% stake. It's a headline mover. It's high risk, high beta, but the domestic supply chain is the strongest it's ever been. So I think it'll be really good. Silver, okay? Silver we're just riding the wave. A little bit of a pullback, but this isn't just a trade, okay? It's a hedge. With everything going on, it's a hedge against the Feds pausing and the dollar being weaponized. I think silver will rip up Wednesday. I really do think if they pause this stuff, it will rip up like crazy. People are already bracing for it. CoreWeave just saw a massive investment by NVIDIA. They doubled down with a $2 billion investment, putting them in at $87 a share. I think that it's funny that CoreWeave came down. We were at 108. I think we ran back down, but I think CoreWeave will begin to pick back up in the short term. Definitely looking bullish on CoreWeave. Massive downtrend for CoreWeave here. But one thing that most people don't understand is that this particular stock is very, very, very bullish when it runs. I think it needs a little bit of stabilization, but it's coming down. But look at this. Once it stabilizes and coils up, it can see another spike up and just run. Irene, want to talk about Irene? Irene just needs to break 56. I think Irene just needs to break 56. The Bitcoin to AI data center narrative is really, really good as long as Bitcoin can hold, which I think Bitcoin will hold, and Irene remains a primary beneficiary of the power demand cycle. It can really be amazing. I think that if Irene starts to break out, it will start to run right back up to its highs of $76. We saw Irene trading a lot higher before. Where is this at? There we go. At $76 over here, around the 67 mark. So I think Irene will start to push up to 65 here in the next few weeks. Baba, looking for Baba to hit probably 200 very soon. Baba is coiling up more and more. I get excited when Baba does a move because I'm looking for Baba to kind of push out. Definitely not good for the China thing, but the tariff rhetoric is holding it back. But I'm keeping the position size where it's at. I'm pretty disciplined on this. And I want to talk about FCX. This is my copper king. Okay. Can't have the AI build out without the grid. So you need copper. So copper is going to be a big play. This is the one I found that was the best price. So definitely looking at this and definitely in this. So definitely good. Now, I want to talk about, I think we're going to chop for a little bit. And SPY, we did see a little bit of a push up today. We are seeing more activity from SPY. But I definitely think we'll chop around the 691, 693 zone. QQQ is looking really good. We have a lot of earnings, so I think QQQ will push. if the Fed's tone is calm and earnings are solid, then the market's going to grind higher and start to hit around that 696 part. If tariffs escalate and the guidance misses, you'll see a fast risk off spike. This is why we're in silver calls, and this is why we're in copper calls, and USAR will push up as well. QQQ can whiplash. Our tech trades could be hurt, but we're looking at both different scenarios. My eyes are looking at CoreWeave right now for the 87 level and the 10-year treasury yields. If yields spike during the Fed meeting, tech will feel the heat. So I think that this is going to be an interesting week. It's going to be a very, very volatile week. One thing about me is that I'm always making money with my scalps. We had a few scalps today. I made, quick 30%, 10%, 20% on the scalps, and I love hitting the scalps. So no matter what happens with my swings, I'm gonna tell people in my group, they benefit a lot from the scalp calls because we be hitting those things left and right. So if you're in my group, I'm very excited to hit some scalps with you this week because we're just going to let our plays run and just try to make as much money as we possibly can, get as much juice in the brokerage as possible because we have a lot of our plays set out. We're not really going to do much until earnings come into play. It's going to be a very volatile week. I'm watching a lot of things. But with that being said, guys, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful Tuesday. I hope you make a lot of money. If you ever want to trade with me, link is down below. Please comment, like, subscribe if this video was helpful, and I will see you guys soon. Peace.